I grab it out. Blood squirt.
What's the location of your emergency?
My son is unresponsive right now.
Is he breathing?
Yeah, but barely. And it smells real rotten.
He's like, Dad, help.
On December 13th, 2019, in Dayton, Ohio, 30-year-old Al McLean makes this 911 call after realizing that his 10-year-old son, Takakota Collins, is unconscious.
What's the location of your emergency?
Yes, my son is unresponsive right now.
Your son
and
is Hold on. Okay, you said your son is unresponsive?
Yep.
Okay, how old is he?
He's a child with a lot of medical issues. So what he do is he'll just not have it.
Stop, just for a minute. How old is he?
He's 11 years old.
Okay.
In 3 days.
What you just heard is a father calling 911 about his dying 10-year-old son. But this isn't a tragic accident or sudden illness. This is the end result of years of systematic torture that took place in a hidden chamber that police would soon discover. When investigators arrived at this Dayton, Ohio home on December the 13th, 2019, they thought they were responding to a medical emergency. Instead, they uncovered one of the most horrific child abuse cases in Ohio history, complete with a makeshift torture chamber that an evil family had been using to slowly murder an innocent child. This is the story of 10-year-old Takakota Collins, a sweet, gentle boy who teachers described as wanting to please everyone and make people laugh. But behind the closed doors of his father's home, Takakota was living in a nightmare that defies human comprehension. What police found hidden in that house would shock even the most experienced investigators and reveal how 3 adults conspired to create their own private hell for one defenseless child. When 30-year-old Al McCann called 911 that December morning, he claimed his son had suddenly become unresponsive. Emergency responders rushed to save Takakota's life, but it was already too late. The 10-year-old was pronounced dead at the Children's Medical Center, and that's when the disturbing truth began to emerge. From the moment officers arrived at the house, they noticed something was wrong. Takakota's body was covered in marks, bruises, and injuries that couldn't be explained by any accident or medical condition. When paramedics examined him, they found evidence of severe, systematic abuse that had been going on for years. But it was when investigators began searching the house that they made the discovery that would expose the full extent of the horror this child had endured.
In the attic, investigators found a small, barren room that smelled strongly of urine and feces. There were no working lights, but there was a bucket, the pools Amanda mentioned, and a yellow stool with 2 of the legs missing. This stool would become sickeningly relevant as Al's interrogation continued. Investigators also noted there was what appeared to be blood smeared on the attic walls, a large clear plastic tarp, and a shower curtain that both appeared to have feces all over them.
What officers found in that attic was a torture chamber disguised as a child's bedroom. This wasn't neglect. This was a deliberately constructed prison designed to inflict maximum suffering on a 10-year-old boy. The room reeked of human waste, had no proper lighting, and contained only the bare minimum needed to keep someone alive while subjecting them to constant torment. The yellow stool with missing legs would become central to understanding the sadistic abuse Takakota endured. This wasn't furniture, it was a torture device. The bucket wasn't for storage. It was Takakota's only option when he was denied access to a bathroom. The plastic tarps weren't for protection. They were to contain the evidence of daily beatings. Most chilling of all, investigators discovered that the family had installed a surveillance system to watch Takakota 24 hours a day. This wasn't for his safety. It was to monitor his suffering and ensure he couldn't escape the torment they had designed for him. Al McCann lived in this house with his girlfriend Amanda Hensey and her sister Jennifer Eber. What appeared to be a blended family caring for children was actually a conspiracy of evil that had turned a child's life into a living hell. When detectives interviewed Al, his story immediately began to fall apart. He claimed Takakota was a troubled child who hurt himself, but the evidence told a completely different story.
First of all, he had marks all over his body. It's every day. Now, sometime I had to spank his behind just to prevent him from hurting himself. This boy jumped out the window before. Just straight out the window. There is no stopping him. I'm afraid. I've been telling people I was afraid, but at the same time, it was nothing I can do. And I mean, I can understand the fact that he had marks all over his body. You'd be surprised just to sit there and watch him do it. Or just to see there and you could just be like, stop, or no, or don't, and he's gonna whack, he's gonna bam, he's gonna jump, he's gonna flip, he's gonna kick. We had stairs, he was letting out people.
Listen to how Al tries to blame Takakota for his own injuries. This is a classic abuser tactic, claiming the victim caused their own suffering. But teachers who knew Takakota painted a completely different picture of a gentle, sweet child who never showed any violent behavior and was always trying to please adults. The school nurse revealed the heartbreaking truth. Takakota would come to school thin and hungry, smelling of urine because he wasn't allowed to bathe properly. Staff would wash his clothes and give him extra food because they could see he was being neglected. When his father Al learned that school staff were helping Takakota, he became angry and eventually pulled the boy out of school entirely. This isolation was part of the torture. By removing Takakota from school and cutting him off from anyone who might help him, Al and his accomplices ensured their victim had no escape and no voice to tell the world what was happening to him. But the torture chamber in the attic was just the beginning. As investigators dug deeper, they discovered the systematic methods this evil family used to break down a child's spirit and body.
I'm going to get up and show you stuff that Takota's supposed to do. So he's supposed to stand like this, with his sometimes hands behind his head, sometimes behind his back. So if he goes like this, or like just uncrosses them, Al freaks out. And then I know this is going to be weird, but another thing, he's supposed to go like this, and he's supposed to bend over, just like this, and then have his hands spread out like that. So, yeah, and if he's not doing that, I have to tell Al, and that's
like all the time while he's up there, so he's not touching anything?
Yeah.
So for like hours, he's supposed to be doing that?
Until 7 in the morning, till about sometimes 3, 4 in the morning.
So almost 24 hours. Well, 20 hours, essentially.
That he's just supposed to stand there either with his legs crossed and over?
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
I guess that was supposed to make him start listening, get things through his head, that he's stopped going to the bathroom on himself. I don't know.
This testimony from Jennifer Ebert reveals the calculated cruelty of Takakota's daily existence. He was forced to stand in stress positions for up to 20 hours a day, a torture technique used in military interrogations and human rights violations. If he moved even slightly, he would be beaten. If he collapsed from exhaustion, he would be beaten. This wasn't discipline. This was systematic torture designed to break his mind and body. The surveillance camera wasn't just watching him. It was ensuring that every moment of his suffering was monitored and that any deviation from there. The attic was identified as a crime scene containing evidence of prolonged abuse. Items recovered included stained plastic coverings, a damaged stool that had been misused, and surveillance recordings showing a child being harmed. Al McCann pleaded guilty to murder, kidnapping, and child endangerment. He was sentenced to 51 years to life in prison. Amanda Hensey pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and child endangerment and received 22 years. Jennifer Ebert, who eventually cooperated with investigators, received 8 years for her role in the abuse. The case demonstrated how multiple individuals participated in serious crimes against a child while concealing their actions. It also highlighted the importance of early detection of abuse and the responsibility to act when children show signs of being at risk. Takakota Collins was described as a bright and cheerful child who valued the approval of adults. Instead of receiving care and protection, he endured repeated abuse that ultimately resulted in his death. The offenders attempted to conceal their actions, but investigators documented the evidence, secured convictions, and ensured accountability under the law. The residence where these events took place is now vacant, but the case serves as a reminder of the need to remain vigilant in protecting vulnerable children. Takakota's case continues to stand as an example of why society must provide a voice for children who cannot speak for themselves.